So, I have gotten a lot of questions about how I rate movies on my channel since I started YouTube. If you've seen my channel, you'll know that I don't do it in a traditional sense, like a 1 to 10 scale, or an A, B, C, D, F scale, or anything like that. But I actually do have structure to my rating scale. But seeing as how it's apparently been a bit confusing to some, I thought I'd go ahead and put a video out explaining what that scale is and how it works. First, a little backstory. I started this channel to talk about movies, to give my opinion of the movies I've seen. But I wanted to do it in a way like when I talk to my friends. When I sit around and talk to my friends about a movie I just saw, and I'm trying to tell them about it, I don't sit there and say, oh yeah, man, this movie was awesome, I loved it. It was an 8.2 on my scale. No, I mean, who the fuck says that? You usually say something like, oh man, it was awesome, you should go see it right now, it's so cool. Or that was a piece of shit, do not waste your time, it was awful. Or you know, wait till it comes out on video, check it out then. You know, these kind of things. This is what people say when they talk to each other in an informal environment. And while I did want there to be structure, I still wanted it to be genuine. And if you ask me to rate a movie on a 1 to 10 scale or give it a letter grade, I don't always know what to give it. I find it a lot harder to assign a number or a letter to something instead of just telling you my actual feelings of that something. I know this can be frustrating to some because there are people that just skip to the end of a review to just see what you finally thought about it, and you get to the end of my review and it's not quite the same as some others. But hopefully this video will clear some of that up. And that's why I do it. That's why I don't use a traditional scale and I use this scale, because this is how I describe movies to my friends, to people I know. This is how I describe to them if the movie's any good. This is what I say, oh yeah, that movie, it's a dumpster fire, you don't want to see that. Or, you know, don't spend any extra money on it, just wait till it comes out on streaming or something. Or Netflix, I always say Netflix, but that's creating some confusion unto itself. I think that's fixed now. Anyway, let's jump right into it, and I will give you a quick breakdown of each of my ratings, and hopefully it will clear up some of the confusion. Let's start at the bottom. My lowest rating, Dumpster Fire. This is probably the one that I get the least amount of questions about. It's pretty self-explanatory. I think when I call a movie a dumpster fire, people pretty much get the idea. Not a whole lot of explanation needed. This would probably, I guess on a numeral scale, be like a 1 or a 2 or an F. This is a movie that you just do not want to see. Stay away. There's nothing here for you. There's not one single redeeming quality that I could find in something I rate dumpster fire that makes it worth trudging through whatever this hunk of shit is. Next on the list would be USA Up All Night.
It's not worth it!
Hi, I'm Gilbert Gottfried.
Hi, it's Ron on USA Up All Night.
It's so big. It's just not worth it!
This one does get a bit hazy. I get some questions about it. Typically the way I frame it in the review though, I think that people get it, but I have gotten questions about it. USA Up All Night is kind of like a 3 to say a 5, maybe? It's kind of a broad range. This is one that there are not a lot of redeeming qualities to. But there may be something, if you're like a fan of a certain genre, or something in this movie that if this is your thing, you might be into it. It might be worth giving a look, but don't spend any money, time, or effort on it. I went with this because when I was a kid, USA Up All Night always played super low-grade B movies. Well, not always. They had some good movies on there because that's actually where I was first introduced to the Evil Dead. But a lot of the time, if you're familiar with the show that used to come on with Gilbert Gottfried and Rhonda Shear, then you know that the movies that they featured were pretty fucking bad a lot of the time. Some that so bad they're good kind of bad, but nevertheless, it wasn't known for having high quality movies. So yeah, this one means, you know, don't spend any extra money or time or effort or anything on it, but if it's your thing, yeah, sure, I guess give it a check, but don't hold me accountable. Now for my most questioned rating in my whole entire scale, and the one that I have to explain more than any other rating that I have would be worth checking out on streaming.
Across the street.
This This used to be called Check It Out on Netflix. So if you see one of my older videos where I say check it out on Netflix, that was before I changed it. The story behind that is that I kept saying that, and I kind of view check it out on Netflix as kind of like, you know, Kleenex and tissue paper. Netflix was by and large the biggest streaming platform around. So people might be streaming something on who knows what platform, but they would still refer to it as, oh, I'm gonna go watch Netflix. Netflix and chill, you know, all that stuff. Kind of like Kleenex. People get a tissue paper and some people just call it a Kleenex. Kleenex is actually a brand, but people have assigned that name to an actual object now. So that's why I would say, you know, check it out on Netflix. But as more and more streaming platforms came about, it kind of got a bit confusing, and I started getting a whole lot of questions about, you know, I couldn't find this movie on Netflix, where's it at? And I'd have to go in and explain, well, it's not really on Netflix. But you said check it out on Netflix. Why would you tell me to go look for it on Netflix if it ain't on Netflix? I didn't really mean Netflix, I just meant streaming. So I went ahead and changed it to streaming. This is gonna be your more average movie. Not bad movies, but not movies that you're gonna go and like spend extra money on or anything. This is like a 5 or a 6 or maybe even a solid C, C+. Maybe some low 7s. These aren't bad movies by any means. A whole lot of movies fall into this category, but they're not movies that are so good that you should really pay any extra on top of what you're already paying for this service. If they show up on one of your services, absolutely, they are worth checking out. But beyond that, there's no big hurry. Just wait until it does show up and then check it out then. Now, the next two categories I have, there's some confusion there too as to where they fall in the line. And next in line would be worth a rent.
All he wanted was this.
I have to return some videotape.
And after that, it would be worth a buy.
Do it! Do it! Show me the money! Do it! You motherfucker! So, do it.
I'm going to talk about these two kind of sort of at the same time because they are very similar. Both of them would probably be in the range of like an 8 to a 9, or like a B and an A minus. Really great films. Both categories represent really great films in my world. Worth a Buy is pretty self-explanatory. This is a great movie and you totally should have it in your collection. I don't think it really needs any more explanation. But right below that, just a smidge below it, would be Worth a Rent. The only real difference here is that I don't really see a reason or need to own the movie. You can have two movies that are of equal quality, but for whatever reason, this one just has more watchability and is worth having in your collection. And this one is just as good, but it's just that one watch movie. That doesn't make it a bad movie. And just because a movie has rewatchability doesn't necessarily mean it is better. But if there's a movie that I've seen that I know I will never watch this movie again, no matter how great I thought it was, I know there is no chance in hell that I will ever give this movie another watch, I can't rightfully say that it's worth a buy. Though it may still be worth your money, so I say it's worth a rent. Worth a Rent and Worth a Buy are both worth going out and getting right now. Spend that time to go seek this movie out and purchase, be it for rent and a one-time watch, or buying it outright because you're gonna want to watch this one more than once. I know it sounds a bit confusing, but this is how I look at movies. So when it comes to these two ratings, as far as quality goes, a lot of the times they are neck and neck. The biggest contributing factor here would be, are you ever going to watch this movie again? Every now and then, a higher quality does have a part to play in me giving something worth a buy over a rent, but a lot of the times the quality of movies in these two categories is very similar. Now, the last rating that I have, once again, much like Dumpster Fire, I feel is fairly self-explanatory, and I don't get a ton of questions about this one. Well, besides people that disagree with me giving this rating to a movie, I don't get questions as far as what the rating means, and that is a unicorn. Or a spectabulous unicorn. Same thing. This does not mean I think this movie is perfect, because of course no movie is perfect. But what this means is that I think that this movie is a one-of-a-kind special experience. But not only is it one of a kind, but it is a great experience that you have to go experience as soon as possible. I used to call this rating See It in Theaters, which just didn't quite convey the way I felt about the movie. So it eventually became Unicorn. And I feel like Unicorn kind of puts my feelings of these kind of movies into perspective. effective. Perfect? No. Fucking amazing? Absolutely. So there you go. That is a basic rundown of my rating scale. Yes, I know it would be easier if I would adopt a 1 through 10 or a letter grade, but on the flip side of that, I feel like it would be a bit disingenuous. That's not why I came here. I didn't come here to give things letter grades and number grades. Not that there's anything wrong with that. People that do that, that's great. I have no problem with that. That fits for you. But for me, I have a really hard time doing that. I'd rather have a set scale like I do and tell you where this movie falls on that scale. If you want to assign a number or letter to that rating I give on my scale, have at it. Sure, go right ahead. But this is how I feel the most honest in reviewing movies. I'm telling you my feelings. I mean, that is all a review is. And really, when it comes to ratings of any kind, regardless of what kind of scale I use, I feel fairly confident that if you watch the video that precedes that rating, you'll probably already have a pretty damn good idea what that rating's gonna be before I even say it. If not, then I haven't really done my job right, so I guess that is on me. But like I said, I feel fairly confident that I do a good enough job of expressing to you guys what my feelings about something are during the video. But if not, then let me know in the comments below. I appreciate you guys watching and taking an interest in my channel. Every one of you mean the world to me, and I truly do appreciate all of your time. So if you like my video and my crazy kooky little review scale, then hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you liked what I had to say, give me a like. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, stay sexy, Madison.